Hi, y'all. Good morning. um, as she stated, I'm Hadassah. Oh, what's up, Daniel? I didn't even know you were here. Yeah, as she stated, I'm Hadassah. I go by Das. Most people in SportsLink call me Das. That's just what I go by. Yeah, I am currently a news sports reporter at WLFI in Lafayette, Indiana, West Lafayette. Excuse me, there is a difference. Um, yeah, so I guess I'll kind of just start with the process, how it all started, if that's where y'all want me to start. I'm really here to answer like questions, but I'll just kind of lay it all out there, um, and then we can just go from there. So I want to say in May, when I graduated last May, I did not know what I was going to do. I kind of didn't know if I really wanted to start um, at a news station because that's so like cliche. I feel like for reporters who want to do sports to go and start at a small market, you know, kind of like build their confidence and get their reps up, meet more people. And I didn't really want to do that just because, again, everybody did it, and I felt like SportsLink, I am a SportsLink grad if I haven't made that clear. SportsLink had kind of prepared me, and BSU as a whole. Like, what I'm learning now is that um, this is one of the best schools in the country for this. If you want to do anything broadcasting, you're in the best place in the country besides another school that I won't name. Um, but, huh? No, no, an S and an A. But yeah, anyway, so I felt like I was prepared enough to go and work for a network, which I still firmly believe that I could right now. But there was also a few things where I felt like I needed to excel and grow in. For one, I was used to doing play-by-play and color for basketball, a little bit of football. I was just used to doing that versus sitting at a desk and just reading a script. So I figured, you know, eventually I should know and feel a little bit more comfortable doing that. Therefore, let me just look at what's out there. And at the time, there were no sports jobs specifically. There was always news and sports, or just news. So I kind of stumbled upon the job that I'm at now because of an interview that I had at Wish TV, which is where I interned at. I was under the leadership of Anthony Calhoun. I don't know, you guys are pretty young. I barely watch the news, so I'm sure you guys don't. But it is one of the, well, it is the best sports station, news station in Indianapolis, Channel 8. So I interned there, and I went in. They had called in for a position as a photographer. And I knew that's not what I wanted to do because, again, I just spent my last 5 years of school studying, you know, being in front of the camera. So I just wasn't ready to just throw away all of that and be a photog. So I went in and I had the interview. It was a great interview. Was basically like offered the job on the spot. But after I left that interview with the news director, I went to the sports director, Anthony Calhoun, and I just told him, you know, that's not it. I'm not going to take it. You know, that's not what I want to do. That would just be a 2-year contract, you know, just 2 years down the drain. What am I going to learn? There was really no opportunity for me to be on air, so I just said no. And before I left, the sports producer at Wish, my good old buddy Ross, he was like, well, let's look and see what's out there. And turns out WLFI had a news reporter job open. And I was like, I don't really want to do that because it's news, yada, yada, yada. And he goes, well, I work there, and usually there's always a lot of opportunity to do sports. So I filled out an application like the next day, went on vacation the following day, and I got a call like as I was at the airport. So that's kind of how that worked out. One thing I will say, when you do go in for an interview, make it abundantly clear what you want and what you do not want. I thought I did, but apparently I was wrong. So that's kind of how I ended up doing. I was told, I'll give you guys the full spiel. I was told in my interview that I would be doing 90% sports and 10% news. Well, when I actually took the job, it was reversed. So I was the morning reporter, so I was going in at 3:30 a.m. and I would get off at 12:30. And it was horrible. Like, it was not a great experience. So I say that to say, when you go in, make sure that if they say you're going to do something, get it in writing. That's probably, if you don't take anything else from what I say today, get whatever they tell you in writing. Whatever you negotiate, whether it's pay, whether it's what you will be doing, whether it's what you won't do, get it in writing. Fortunately, I come from good stock. I have great professors like Dr. Maria and, a list of others here at Ball State who kind of put the fire underneath me to know that I don't ever have to settle. And when I speak, I can be heard. So a few months after working that morning shift, one day I just kind of like snapped out of a fog. And I marched in there, all a little bit of me, and just said, hey, I told you this is not going to work. We need to figure out something else. And that was kind of that. Because what will happen if you do settle is they will look at your full 3 to 6 minute demo reel of you doing nothing but sports, or if you're in news, nothing but news. And they will literally like disregard that and fit you for what they need. So if they need, even though you are a sports girl or guy, they will put you in the position that they need, whether it's a photographer, whether it's a news reporter, whether, it will be anything to fit them. So what I would say is, as you're going through this process, make sure that you're taking a job that's going to work for you. And I would say with that, don't settle. I was kind of quick because I was so like eager to work. Take a break after college. So I went in, I graduated in May. I had a job in June. No real vacation. So I would say that's the one thing that I would encourage you all to do. And then I think the last kind of thing is really enjoy this time. I wish to this day that I would have just went to grad school. So if it comes up, please consider it. I'm not saying you should do it, but you kind of should. But yeah, so I would say right now I'm a lot happier. I have moved on to the night shift where I work from 2:45 p.m. to 11:45. I love that. I do way more sports. In fact, I have an 11:32 sports block tonight, which was fun because we're in March Madness, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, so things have turned. I am starting to see the light of day at this station. I'm pretty sure I called Dr. Maria a few times and told her I was about to quit. With that, this is probably the last thing I'll say with contracts and stuff. Try your best not to break your contract. If you're going to break a contract, leave the industry or find something else within it. I would say there's only a few reasons why you should ever break a contract. You probably know this because you go to Ball State. You always want a 2-year contract. You do not want the 3. You don't want the 1. Go with 2. 2 may sound like a long time, but I'm approaching my 1-year mark in June. So it's gonna fly, and it's like the perfect amount of time for you to kind of figure everything out. A lot of people just leave after their 2 years. They call my station the revolving door simply because people come in as young adults fresh out of college and they get what they need. They feel good enough to leave after the 2 years and they're off to a higher market or whatever, some network. So yeah, 2-year contract, state what you want, make it clear, remind them as often as you need, and yeah, I don't know, go with your gut, always. It's really never, ever going to steer you wrong, and trust in whatever higher power that you believe in, and I think you'll be fine, because again, this is one of the best schools. I don't think any other school would have prepared me for the workforce like Ball State has. and I'll swear by that for the rest of my life. So yeah, I'll just open it up to questions.
Hadassah, can I just add one thing to what you said?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad she's talking to you guys about contracts. The one thing she didn't say about contracts is read the damn thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what gets people in trouble. They
Yeah.
sign a contract because they're so glad they got a job. They don't read it.
Yeah.
Read it and know it.
Yeah, and you can feel free. You have all the right to say, hey, I need more time. Because what'll happen is they'll try to give it to you and then be like, hey, can you get it right back to us? Like, no. Take your time. I had multiple professors read over mine. I think I had you read over mine. Yeah, if it doesn't make sense, you can ask them. You can circle, scratch up, and, you know, do whatever. Because, again, while we are super prepared as far as what you will be doing, that kind of stuff is kind of like foreign. That should be a class, Dr. Maria.
I had it as a class, and some of the students in production thought, why are we doing contracts?
Oh.
I should have been in the business program if I needed a contract.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's important enough to where it should be a class. But yeah, so yeah, take your time with it. Do not let them. Yeah, you can just sign here. In fact, that actually happened to me. I came in for the first interview. It was a 3 interview step process, whatever. And so in the third one, he just kind of like hurried up and swung out the contract and kind of wanted me to sign it. Was really kind of egging me on, but again, I'm a Ball State grad, I know better. So yeah, just take your time and yeah, don't settle. You don't have to. Again, I didn't know how much weight the Ball State degree, TCOM or media now degree would carry until I graduated. So know your worth as far as the workforce. Don't go in expecting to make 6 figures because that is not the case. Very few are fortunate enough to go out and do that. Not saying that you're going to struggle, but it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. Fortunately for me, I have a few different streams of income outside of, you know, the job, the regular 9 to 5. So yeah, whatever that you do on the side, don't just throw it away because you have a job, which, oh wow, yes. Take care of you because this industry, yes, it's sports. When do sports happen? Weekends, holidays, all the big ones at least, excuse me. So yeah, take care of you in the process. It is fun. I'm a firm believer in if you love what you do, it's never gonna be a job. And yeah, I think you guys pretty much know that if you're, you know, sitting in this classroom to this extent. But yeah, so I think that's all I have for now. Feel free to ask any questions. What's up, Daniel?
Keen, Ball State Daily News. Were there any, I don't want to say misconceptions, but things that you kind of were prepared to go into the industry with that really flipped quickly when you got into the industry, and how did you kind of deal with those?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say that I was not, okay, Sports Linkers, where you guys at? So when I was in SportsLink, we had a 156 rule, and it was basically we had to put out 3 pieces of content, 1 long, short, and like it was everything but a highlight. We couldn't do just a simple highlight reel because that's simple, and anybody could do it. But I would say that I went from turning a 1-minute 30 video in 3 weeks or 4 weeks to turning packages, like 2-minute packages every single day. And I don't want to say that I guess I just wasn't expecting that. Again, I came out of sports, so we only produce content for the sports that we need versus news. There's something happening every day. So I would say the simple fact that I just didn't study news in college was I wasn't aware of how much work I would actually be doing. But again, the work wasn't hard. It was just like, oh, this is every day, you know, like 5 days a week, I'm putting out content. So I think that's the biggest thing. Does that kind of answer your, if not feel free to ask it again. But yeah, that's pretty much the main thing. Just really doing that every single day was kind of like, whoa, this is what I do. But yeah. Anything else? Go ahead.
Lexi Tripko's Ball-State Daily News.
Lexi, I'm sorry.
Lexi.
Okay.
Yeah. Was it kind of like scary or intimidating when you were doing news instead of sports and you had to like go tell them like where your place was and what you wanted it to be?
Yes and no. The intimidating part was, okay, they might actually just let me go, you know. But then again, I was like, this is my life, and I can't let somebody else dictate what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Like, we all have our individual journeys and tracks. Some of us may go and do exactly what we want to do first job out of college. Great, that's wonderful. But that's just not the case for everybody, right? So I kind of, the thing that wasn't scary for me was it's my life. Like, nobody can, I just can't let some man who is probably, this is the end of his working career, right? I can't let him dictate the next 2 to 3 years of my life, especially when it's so soon. You get what I'm saying? So the scariest thing was, okay, what if he says they're just gonna go a different way, you know? But then again, I believe that everything happens for a reason. So yeah, I think that was the scariest part. Other than that, again, I was just, I don't know, I think I was just kind of wired this way. I've just always been extremely confident in what my heart and my gut tells me. So I knew that whatever happened, it was going to be just fine. And that was the part where it was easy for me. So yeah, it was a little intimidating, but again, you'll know. And I didn't just do that after week 2. Again, I went months before I said anything. And I think that also kind of helped take the ease, and it helped my case because I'm like, hey, it's been 6 months and I'm still doing it, you know? So I think with that, it's your life. You're gonna know. And I would advocate and encourage you to never back down when it comes to your well-being and what you want to do. It's your dream, nobody else's. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it's intimidating, but the workforce in general, I was scared poopless going into it. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that just comes with time and just being in it a little bit. But yeah. Whoa. Just go. Somebody just talk.
Ball State sports thing. What was the first big moment that you were like, wow, I'm really doing this right now? What was that first big moment? Was it like a sporting event this year? Or?
I had 2. So the first one was in news. I got called to breaking news. There was a shooting on Purdue's campus, and I was like, that was the moment where I was like, oh my God, I am really doing this. It's 4 in the morning, and I'm out here with my camera, my tripod, and all of this stuff, and I gotta figure out a live shot. I gotta try to talk to a police officer. Mind you, never met any of them a day in my life. I don't know if they watch the news, so they probably don't even know who I am. So that was one of the moments where I was like, oh God, I am doing this. And I was kind of rethinking everything, like, yeah, I think I should probably go back home. But I just had the second one back in like November or October, whatever month that was. They all run together. When I did my first Purdue men's basketball game against Michigan. It wasn't a really, really good game. Purdue handled them, but it was the moment for me to realize, okay, now I'm doing this. I think that was that moment for me. And again, that just drove me further and harder to keep doing what I'm doing, because it does pay off in the end. It may start off like crap, but it does. So yeah, go ahead.
Nick Lofty, Ball State Sports. Mike, you talked about yourself being a really confident person. You come off as a very confident person. Where do you get that from?
That is a great question.
And I'm telling your parents which
Yeah, no. And what's funny is, I don't know. So they always called me like they always would say like as a little girl, they don't know where I came from because both of my parents are really like mild and meek, you know. They don't really have to speak. Now my dad is a pastor, so he did become a public speaker, but I really can't say. They both have always been more on the shy end. So I really don't know, honestly. And I think I will say this. Since they were so shy and timid, I think they really made an emphasis when I was little, bringing me up to make sure that I always spoke, made people aware of my presence. Not in a way to where I'm just like flamboyant with it, but just in a way that, you know, when I speak, people listen. You know, they never wanted me to feel intimidated, I guess. They never wanted me to walk in a room and put my head or shoulders down, you know. So I think that played a part in it. But honestly, other than that, that's like the best I can come up with. I think we all have a unique personality. I've always been outgoing, outspoken. Yeah, I don't, I really don't know. I will say that coming in as a freshman, I was not as confident. So I think that my time here at Ball State really did hone that in, especially with the professors and people that I had in my corner who saw potential in me and wouldn't let it just sit there or wouldn't let me waste it. So I will say I think that played a key role in everything as well. But other than that, I don't know. Callie, 1, 2, 3.
Callie Timo, Ball State Sports Link. You kind of made a joke about the contracts and how you wish that was a class. Is there a class that you wish you took at Ball State that would help you be better in your career today, or like one you could add, like Ball State should add on?
Good question. Not really. There were always classes that I was like, man, I wish I could have took that, but it was never like I wanted to take it because it was going to be fun, not for the simple fact that it would probably help me. I think my advisors were pretty good with listening to what I wanted to do and kind of lined me up accordingly. Again, other than the contract thing, and I'm not even saying that had to be a class. It could have been. It definitely can be, but definitely something to where it's taught. Like we got like 2 to 3 weeks to really just sit there and learn about it. You know what I mean? So I would say no. I feel like, again, I felt so good about leaving as far as what I'm going to have to do. Because I felt like I did the hardest part of it in college, in which I still believe I was right. Again, just the timing of everything is different. Again, like I said, we're turning content every day versus one piece in 3 weeks. So I don't think so, Callie. I think I was fine. Again, the classes that I wish I would have taken were all like, I didn't really need them. So I think I did all right. I think so. Yes.
Sam.
Or, I'm sorry. Yep, you were first. I'm sorry.
Ethan Allen, Newsweek, Indiana. So I saw that you played a year of basketball here, assuming that you played basketball growing up. Was it the sports that got you into this field, or was it kind of the other way around? You always wanted to be a news reporter, and then sports came with it?
Yes. So it's funny. I actually remember the day that I said I wanted to be a sports reporter. I was 10 years old. I was watching a Lakers game with my dad, and I seen Sage Steele reporting the game. And at that time, I had not started playing basketball. So that was kind of like the moment. I think so I would say that I wanted to become a sports reporter before I started playing basketball. But basketball did help me in so many ways. Sorry, I'm old. That was my hip. It did help me and mold me and shape me because now I became a student of the game. I'm a student of everything. So once I lock in on something, I'm going to learn it and I'm going to master it. That's just me. So playing at the Division I level really helped me become the comfortable color analyst that I am now. So again, student of the game, it's easy for me to call a game. So I would say they did obviously like coincide. They both kind of helped each other. Yeah, but I feel like there's a second part of the question, or am I missing something? Is that good? But yeah, so they definitely went hand in hand. But wanted to be a sports reporter before a player, and I never knew. Well, no, not never knew. I never wanted to go play outside of college. You know, like playing professionally was never a thing to me, because I always said I wanted to dress up and I wanted to wear makeup and get my hair done and talk about basketball, and that's kind of how that worked out. I got you.
Sam Magner with Ball State SportsLink. Being a SportsLink grad, you hear the buzzword storytelling all the time. Has that translated to your professional career at all, and if so?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I find myself using the circle almost every day. And it really helps me in news stories that I really dread doing. But yeah, so yeah, I use it. It's not just a thing. It really does help, and it translates almost like perfectly into the workforce, because pretty much everything you do is going to be, you know, that circle. You know, you're going to start, you're going to have that middle, that meat part, and then you're going to wrap it all back in to put the story together, right? And I think in news, sports news, you only have a 2 minute and 30-second block. So whatever you say, you got to make sure it's to the point, but it all tells the story at the same time. So again, in SportsLink, you got your 1:30 pack or piece of content where you're trying to tell this athlete's entire life. But again, there's only so much time. Well, in news, I really had to take out that circle and say, hey, okay, this guy has an incredible story. How do I take what's great, what I really need, and put it all in to where my story is complete? I'm not leaving anything out. So yeah, it definitely translates. Please take it seriously. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It is fun, but it is definitely something that you'll keep for the rest of your time. You got Didi, and then I got you.
Didi Snyder, Ball State News. Dr. Maria mentions often how competitive the industry is and stuff like that. So that being said, is there any other reporter you study or try to learn from to continue getting better?
Yeah. Yes. So I would say for a while, Sage Steele is who I looked up to for a long time. She ended up being the host for SportsCenter, yada, yada, yada. But recently, it's been the Maria Taylors. It's been the Holly Rose. Excuse me. I even loved, like, Tom Rinaldi. Like, dude is a genius. I know in SportsLink that's kind of cliche, but yeah, those have been the people that I learned from. But honestly, I'm a sports fan, so I'm going to see who's ever on the broadcast regardless of what's going on. And now that I work in it, I'm always a lot more locked into what they're saying, sometimes even so more than the game. And I think what ends up happening is, because if you think about it, none of this stuff that we're doing is new. We're just trying to do it better so we can have a space in those higher capacities, right? So I think that right now I'm kind of like, well, not even, I'm not doing it on purpose, but it's just what happens. You take so much of what you see and you just put it all in, you put your spin on it, and it's you. You know what I mean? So there are certain ones that I like to watch, but I can't say I study them anymore, simply because I don't have that kind of time. But yeah, so there's definitely ones really just, who's ever on the broadcast for whatever game I'm watching, I always just try to pay, you know, a little bit more attention to what they're saying and how they're saying it, how they're going about it, you know, that kind of thing like that. So, yeah.
Timothy in Ball State Media, what is the biggest thing that you think you did as a student here that you would tell other students now that's like helped prepare you for where you're at now? Like something that maybe the average student wouldn't think about, but you're super thankful like that you took it into consideration.
Ooh. Oh, that these are some great questions. I would say, wow. Usually, this is like nice. Usually I'm asking questions, so it's nice to be asked a question or two. I would say, wow, I really don't know. Okay, I kind of have one, but I don't know if it's, yeah, I'll just throw it out there. It was, excuse me, last year, I was fortunate enough to analyze be the first woman in SportsLink to analyze a men's basketball game. And I didn't want to do it because I'm like, okay, no, because they're going to laugh. Like, no. I don't want to be, I don't want to be looked at as, that girl. And I was very close to like turning it down. I was like, no, let me just go be the sideline reporter for this game. Let me just stick to where I'm, comfortable. And I would say that doing that helped me see, okay, if I can do this, like, there's really nothing that I can't do. And I felt like facing that kind of fear as a college student was probably the best thing. In fact, that your question about the fear and intimidation earlier, that fear that I had as a college student, I probably never would have had the courage to go in my news director's office as a 6-month, reporter, going in there and telling him what I wanted. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably the thing that kind of changed my trajectory on who I was as a person. And now I look back, I'm like, I can't believe I second guessed myself. Like, I can't believe I was this close to not doing it. So I would say maximizing opportunities, because other than that, there's really no one thing that I can kind of pinpoint. But yeah, that's probably it. Just maximizing those opportunities, the ones that you're kind of afraid to do, the ones that you might not want to do. Do they have to ring bells in here? No? Oh. Yeah, well, volunteering, doing the things. No, I didn't have to. I needed to, and I kind of wanted to. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, just maximizing those opportunities. I wish I had like that moment or another moment that was like, man, but that's the one that sticks out to me, so I hope that helps. Oh, gosh, Dr. Maria, I need help. I don't know.
Daniel hasn't asked. Oh, and Ryan, these two haven't asked.
Okay.
Hi, Danny Huber, Media Public Radio. What was that shift like from going to Wish TV to WFLI, and how did that sort of change your emotions with your career?
Oh, man, great question. So, at Wish TV, it's like I was in Hollywood, baby. I'm talking, we got our own photographer. We got the best food. People know who you are. Well, they know who you are kind of both ways, but it was great. Wish was like they rolled out the red carpet. You're going to all the top games. A blast. And then you get to WLFI, which is at the bottom of the totem pole in the market, and I'm carrying all of my stuff. I'm shooting, editing, writing, everything, and it's all like, for a minute, it felt like it was in vain. So that's probably the biggest difference. And I think starting off at Wish was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, because now working at WLFI, it's like, okay, I know there's better, and I know what I'm working to get back to. So I think that's kind of like those were the biggest things. It was just like, you go from this station where it's, I don't know how many people work at Wish, like over 200 maybe, if that, maybe right under there, and then you go to WLFI where it's all of 50 of us. So and that's including marketing and all of that. So yeah, that's the thing that kind of helped me, kind of decipher between the two.
Well, yeah, but just to follow up, what made you sort of stick with WFLI?
I knew the reps. I knew I wanted to keep getting better, because my whole thing was, as a former athlete, the longer you take off of something, the farther and harder it's going to be to get back into your groove. So I never wanted to lose, you know, my mojo as far as being in front of the camera. And I mean, obviously it's something that, you know, it is natural, but again, the more you don't do something, the kind of more, the harder it's going to be to kind of get back in that rhythm with it. So I never wanted to, I didn't really care what I had to do. I just wanted to do it simply for me. You know what I mean? I just wanted to build what I had already started, keep building on that.
Are you happy with your role at that station that you're going?
Yes. In July, I will be full-time sports, no news, so yeah, so we are excited for that. So yeah, I am, again, starting to see the light of day at WLFI. And in June, I will only have one more year, you know, in my contract. So yeah, I'm happy, I am.
Ryan Short, Ball State Sports Link. What do you believe are some of the most important and crucial skills to kind of develop in order to thrive in today's media industry?
Great question. You obviously shooting content, because think about it, guys. Everybody wants and needs a videographer. Everybody, or photographer. That's one. Two, if you want to be in front of the camera, I would say writing, which this is a sports writing class. So making sure, honing in on that skill is a big to-do. In fact, I mean, I work at a news station, and writing is one of the biggest problems that we have today. I am blessed enough to sit next to the oldest, maybe I shouldn't say oldest, the most seasoned anchor. He actually used to be the news director, and every day he's like, Hadassah, look at this script. How am I supposed to read that? You know, so the writing is a huge part of it. And I know we kind of like take that lightly, because again, we go out and shoot a minute highlight and put a few effects on it with some hard music, and next thing you know, we feel like we on top of the world. But no, writing, it's simple. It should be simple. It really is. But that's the second thing. And I think lastly, in this media industry, I think what people, it's really not even a real skill, but given that I've seen it so much and so frequent in my time in the workforce, is simply respecting. So you have your work, right? And you have, say you just shot some great clips of a dope athlete, you know, going first round draft pick, whatever. It may sound like common sense, but for some it's not. Guys, if you don't know them, it is best that you not send those directly to them. I know that's not really a skill, but this just came up because, I don't know, it just popped up in my brain. Respect the athletes or the people that you are covering. That is a huge deal. I didn't even know it was a thing. You know, you would think that people wanted to see what all they have, but it does become an issue. I don't think anybody in here would heckle anybody, but that's become an issue. So, but the main things are definitely just honing in that shooting skill, that camera skill, and lastly, the writing part. Those are the two main things that I think.
Nate Locker, Ball State Sports Link. Going back to your Sports Link days, obviously as a black female, there aren't many minorities in terms of, you know, racial or
Yeah.
in terms of gender. So can you just talk about like what your experience was in Sports Link and how you still felt like you were a part of the group, despite kind of being one of the outliers?
Yeah. That's a really good question. So anywhere you go, the leadership, everything starts at the head. So CT, AK, Al, is Al still here, y'all?
Yeah.
Okay. Those three individuals never put up with the nonsense, and we all know what that nonsense is. Racial stuff, you know, that was never a thing. So I think I think honestly, what was so unique about SportsLink is we all had so much talent to where nothing else really mattered outside of, yo, she's a great announcer. She's a great analyst. Yo, she can put that pack together. You know what I mean? So I think that was just kind of the culture of it. Don't get me wrong. We definitely had, everybody has like their clique, their group. But it was never a thing where it's like, the black people going to this side. You know what I mean? So I think it was, I honestly just think since the leadership was so good at the top, it kind of just trickled down, because that's what happens. You have bad leadership, the group is like all over the place. You have good leadership, everybody's on one accord. So yeah, I think, and not to say that it was perfect. You know, we had times. What was it last year? 2 black quarterbacks going against each other, 2 years ago, whatever that was. Wow, I feel really old. But we did have a little incident, which one bad apple out of the group thought it was racist because 2 black quarterbacks were in the Super Bowl, and they made it a storyline. You know, but again, that was one incident out of my 5 years at inside of SportsLink. So I really just think the culture of it, just there's no room for that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. If that is happening though, sorry, like let me know, because that's okay. Thank you. But if you know, I'll give you my number and all that. Everybody can have my email and stuff. But yeah, go ahead.
Nathan Hargrave, Ball State Media. When searching for that job, that first job in the industry, how did you set yourself apart from your colleagues you were interviewing?
Yeah. It sucks, but it's the truth. I am a black female. 98% of jobs are looking for a black female, whether it's marketing, on air, whether it's anything. That was kind of the main thing. But I would say, as far as skill-wise, I really used my degree, guys. I'm telling you, I didn't know how much weight it pulled, but the simple fact that you will graduate with a media degree with Ball State University at the top, they already know what they're getting from you. And that is a great storyteller, someone who knows how to work in this industry. Although you've never had a job in the industry, they already understand that the training that you have is top tier. So that, on top of really just advocating for myself, that was kind of the thing that I would say set me apart. Because a lot of people go in kind of timid, kind of afraid, which is natural, and I was, but I couldn't let that determine how I was going to go about making this job feel like they need me, in which, you know, they obviously did. They hired me. But yeah, I don't think there was a certain skill or anything, because again, and you guys are probably going to get sick of me saying this, but the degree from Ball State in media or communications, TCOM, news, whatever, it carries a lot of weight. So yeah, I think that's really, I don't think it was anything I had to do special other than that. But yeah, I'll go here.
Evan Stone from Ball State SportsLink. You did a lot of talent stuff when you hear play-by-play color. Is that something you ever want to do in the future or continue to try to do? And was that ever something you were looking for after college?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do want to continue doing color or analyzing. Play-by-play, here nor there. Like, I don't care. To me, they're kind of like one and the same. Because, yeah. But I've really fallen in love with being on the sideline. I don't know. It's just something about it. But I always knew, too, that my end goal is to work for NFL Network. I don't know if you guys watch Total Access. They've kind of switched it up now. But I always wanted to anchor that show, or Good Morning Football. You know, those are kind of like my things. So eventually I want to move away from that and kind of like sit at the desk, but analyzing and stuff, that's always good. In fact, I still come back and analyze the games here at Ball State when I can. So I never want to like totally separate from it, but I don't have to just do that. Like I don't have to be Doris Burke. Like I don't have to call every NBA game or WNBA. I just don't have to. But honestly, I love every part of what I do. So whatever calls, I wouldn't have a problem going to do it. Does that make sense? Does that answer your, did you have a two-parter, or was that did I answer it all?
It's good, thank you.
Okay.
Ryan had his hand.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Ryan Stoner with Ball State Sports Link. Going back to earlier this morning when you talked about having the opportunity to do a color commentary for a men's basketball game, you were kind of on the fence about it. You were more comfortable doing sideline. How did you find the strength to push yourself to get out of your comfort zone and go take that opportunity?
Yeah. How did I find the strength? I would say I did. I went and talked to CT, and I talked to AK. And of course, like, they tell you what you want to hear, but they also were super honest, you know, and I wanted to make sure that I was good enough, you know. So I think the strength really came from the simple fact of, okay, this is college, you know, I'm not going to lose anything by doing this, you know. So, and then there was always that sense of, okay, if I wasn't good enough, if I didn't think I could do it, if they didn't think I could do it, they wouldn't even put my name in the slot, you know what I mean? So it was kind of a sense of, okay, the people that care about me and want to see me do well, they trust me in this position. So if they trust me, I should be able to trust myself. That was kind of like the final straw to get me to just be like, okay, I guess we're doing this. I hope that answers your question.
There are, after this one, there'll be 3 people who haven't asked their questions. I want to make sure you get them in before we close.
Gavin Whitney, Ball State Media. You talked about how BSU was like better prepared you for this media field industry. What was your one big takeaway you got from Ball State?
Ooh, so many. Oh, you guys are probably sick of the contract thing, but I think there's myself and one other. Well, there's multiple BSU grads at the station at WLFI, but the BSU grads are the only ones who have 2-year contracts, and everybody else hates it. I know it's like really small. It's like not a thing. You know, it shouldn't be a thing, but it really, really, really does matter. That's one thing. The second big takeaway, I would say, is just, I'm sure your professors are talking to you about networking. I'm like sure of it, like 110% sure that they're talking to you about that. Don't take that for granted. You know, when they say they have a connection and you think you are interested in it, follow up again and again until something comes up. So yeah, definitely, you know, listening when they're talking to you about contracts, if they do, which I hope they do, they did for us, and then networking. So just really maximizing the network, because I didn't even realize how many great people in this industry are like BSU grads. I'm like, dude, I watch this person almost every day. What do you mean they're a Ball State grad? Why did I never meet them? You know, so really just networking, capitalizing on that, maximizing that, really taking advantage of it now while you're, you know, in this space. Those are the two I think the most important takeaways that I took with me from upon graduating. So yeah.
Xander Woods, Newsweek Media. I know you mentioned a lot of, you know, that you wouldn't be opposed to taking any, you know, NFL jobs or whatever it may be, but considering the success that you already have, what does the trajectory of your career look like that you would want
Oh yeah, that is a beautiful question. I love this question actually. So again, they call my station a revolving door. So the plan is honestly to leave as soon as possible, and either I would love to go to either a bigger station and be full-time sports, or a network, working as a sideline reporter, color, whatever. That would be ideal, and that would be like hopefully my next 5 to 7 year job. But then again, I am definitely a more traditional female, so I want the husband and the kids in the house with a dog and a picket fence. So eventually, like I would love to have one of those jobs to where I am able to go in, run a 2-hour morning sports show, Good Morning Football or NFL Live, or Total Access, to where I can have my flexibility, more stable. You know, I'm going in, I'm not traveling as much, because again, with reporting, you'll be in LA one day, New York the next. But yeah, so I think the trajectory in the next 10 years, I would, or 12, because I love what I do and I don't want to just settle down yet. But I would love to end out with, you know, a job where I am, hey, I don't know, your next Sports Center anchor or whatever, but something along those lines. Does that answer your question? Okay. No?
There's at least one person who hasn't asked a question. I want to make sure.
And I know exactly who it is too. Oh. Dude, you came? I'm so glad you're here. Who else didn't ask a question? I thought everybody asked a question. Who didn't ask a question? Who didn't ask?
I'll just ask one question.
Oh.
That's okay. Vanessa, how much, Maria Williams Hawkins, Media 110. How much time do you invest trying to get the athletes now, especially the Purdue athletes who may be pro in another year or so? How, you talked about networking in terms of other people in the media. How much networking are you doing with the athletes?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's really tricky. So we go through the SIDs, and thankfully we just have a really, 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 really great connection with the SIDs who allow us, you know, extra time with the athletes after the big, you know, CBS has had them or whatever. But yeah, so while you would think I could just go up to an athlete or reach out to an athlete and get them to, you know, do an interview, that's not how it works at all, which if most of you should know that you go through SIDs always, always, always. But networking through them, making sure you're on their good side, has been key. We actually was, I think last week was Pro Day for Purdue, and obviously, you know, you have tons of NFL scouts there, and pretty much every big sports network was there, looking at Tyrone Tracy. Y'all, I don't know if you guys know, but yeah, so we were fortunate because we had such a great connection with the SID. We were able to snag him first. The local news station was able to snag Tyrone Tracy before any other media outlet. I mean, that's nothing but networking, okay? Like, that's all that was. So, yeah, that's a huge, huge deal. And then men's basketball, obviously, you got Zach Edey. We have done so many one-on-ones with Zach Edey when we're not supposed to, simply because, you know, that whole connection, we worked really, really hard to make sure that we had a strong bond with everything Purdue athletics. And again, it is not as simple as reaching out to the athletes or walking up to them after a game for a post-game. No, that is all the SIDs work. So if you are in good standing with the SIDs, you are in good standing with the athletes. So, yeah.
Brandon Beam with Ball State Sports League. I was just wondering if you're going to Indy this weekend to report for the March Madness.
Good question. I am not. I am still, I am Monday through Friday. So, yeah, no. I will just be covering, I'm kind of like holding down the fort. Our other two sports girlies are in Indy this week. So, yeah, I am at the crib this week, this weekend.
You have 3 women in sports?
Yes, crazy, right? Yeah, so, and actually one is a minority. The sports director is a minority. She is a black female. And then our sports reporter, Kelly, awesome, both awesome females. She's our weekend sports reporter. So, yeah, and then I am third, but I'm also split. So that's kind of how they are getting away with not having too many. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of people who believe that women do not belong in sports, but that's another conversation. However, we are pretty loved in our area, especially, you know, covering a Big Ten school like Purdue. We don't really have a lot of negative feedback. It's pretty much all like positive. So yeah, we do. We have a women's sports department. Yeah.
Well, if nobody else has a question, I'll ask one last question. It's kind of personal. Feel free to be honest.
Oh God.
I am a minister. Are there challenges between reporters and athletes becoming interested in each other outside of just the work setting?
Oh God, yes. Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's the thing.
And the other part is how do you address that?
Yeah, that's a thing. I mean, it's natural though. Like it's normal for a guy to find a woman attractive, correct, and vice versa. But the thing that I try to live by is you do not eat the same place that you. Yeah, you got it. And then too, like, there have been so many women who have used, you know, the fact that they're a woman and an attractive one to get to where they are. And I refuse to be that person. I'm too smart. I worked way too hard here. And I'm working way too hard now where I am to let that, you know, kind of, I don't know, water down my rep. So yeah, that's how I go about it. I just, you know, I don't eat the same place yes. So, yeah, that's how I address it. Now, look, some people have made it work for them. That is great. Me, on the other, this is just me. Again, it was a personal question, so I'm answering it, you know, my personal way. That's just not me. And then I'm taken, so, yeah.